Someone just told me that they were here the other day. Oh, hi! I'm Mara, and I'm looking for North America's largest mammal. Do you know what mammal I'm talking about? I'll give you a hint. They're really big, they're really furry, and they're the color brown. Do you know what mammal I'm talking about now? I know, that wasn't a very good hint, was it? I'll just tell you. I'm looking for the American bison. Do you want to help me search for them? I'm told that they're found right here in this area. Great, thank you. Well, before we start searching for them, let me tell you how to identify them, the historical and cultural importance they have, and some struggles that they faced. Come on, let's go look for one.
Being the largest mammal in North America, it's fairly easy to spot an American bison. Male bison, also called bulls, can grow to be about 6 feet tall and weigh up to 2,000 pounds. That's about the same height as a pickup truck and about half its weight. Female bison, also called cows, can grow up to be 4 to 5 feet tall and weigh up to 1,000 pounds. One of the most noticeable characteristics of the American bison is their large shoulder humps. The shoulder hump is a massive muscle that allows the bison to use their heads as snow plows in the winter. Another characteristic would be that both males and females have short, curved black horns that they use to help defend themselves. Adult bison also have 2 different lengths of dark brown hair. The back half of their body is covered in shorter hair, while the front of their body is covered in thick, long, shaggy hair that keeps them warm throughout the winter. You may have noticed another characteristic that these bison have, and it might look a little silly. American bison have beards, which also keep their heads warm. This is similar to how we wear hats in the winter.
Adult American bison are cute and all, but what I really hope we get the chance to see is a baby bison. Baby bison are also called calves, and they look very different from the adult bison. When they're born, they weigh about 30 to 70 pounds, which is about the same size we were when we were 4 to 11 years old.
The characteristic that sets calves apart from the adults is the color of their fur. Instead of being a dark brown color, their fur is red-orange, which gives them a silly nickname of red dogs.
Now that we know what an American bison looks like, let's draw a picture of one in our adventure journals so we can identify these characteristics again later on.
To create your adventure journal, you will first need to get a piece of paper. Once you have your piece of paper, fold it in half hot dog style, like this picture shows. Then, you want to fold that half in half once again. Lastly, unfold it and you should see 4 sections. If you see 4 sections, you folded it correctly and you want to refold it again. On the very front, you can design a cover. Throughout this video, you will be prompted to add to your adventure journal by either adding drawings or writing down your answers to questions. Now that we have created our adventure journal, it's time to add our drawing of a bison. You want to unfold your entire journal so you find that big middle section, and that section is where we'll draw our bison. To begin drawing your bison, you first want to draw the shape of its head. Next, you want to draw its nose, eyes, and its horns. Thirdly, draw its beard. Now, draw its shoulder hump and its back, along with the ending, which will be its tail. Next, draw its front leg. Then, draw its hind leg and its stomach. To add some more detail, we will be adding the legs found on the other side of its body, as well as two lines. One line that shows where the long shaggy hair in the front starts, and around its face. Once we've finished our bison drawing, feel free to label some of the characteristics we talked about to identify a bison.
I think it's safe to say that we're experts at identifying American bison. Let's continue our search while we think about their historical importance. The American bison are arguably one of the most historically important mammals in North America. Prior to the 18th century, over 200 years ago, the American bison lived far and wide across North America.
The light blue color of this map shows where bison lived over 200 years ago.
During this time of abundance, the First Nations people heavily relied on bison not only as a source of food, but also a source of medicine, shelter, and even tools. So let's take out our adventure journals once again and write down some of these uses as we talk about them.
The bison hide, or its skin, was used for making things like moccasins, which is a type of shoe, teepee covers, which is a type of shelter for some First Nations people, pouches, bags, and more. Bones from a bison were used to make tools such as knives and scrapers, but they could also be used as clubs, for jewelry, and to make games, like the one in this picture. Even the horns, which you may think might be hard to use, were used to carry gunpowder or medicine. Almost every single part of the bison had a use so that nothing went to waste.
Well, we haven't found any American bison yet, but as we continue looking, let me tell you about one of the biggest struggles that they faced. As I mentioned earlier, bison used to roam all over North America almost 200 years ago, but today there aren't as many. Why do you think there aren't as many bison found in North America as there were 200 years ago? That's a very good idea. Let's talk about it.
This map that we've seen before shows where the bison lived over 200 years ago, and during that time, there were about 30 to 60 million bison alive. The yellow color in this next map shows where bison were found in 1870, which was only about 50 years later. As we can see, the yellow area is a lot smaller than the blue area. During this time, there were only 5 million bison alive. The reason why the bison population decreased so much was due to European settlers moving to America and hunting them to sell their hides, bones, and meat. Settlers also hunted bison because they knew that bison were an important resource for First Nations people who they saw as their enemies. The red color in this last map shows where bison lived in 1889, which was only 19 years later. We can see that the red area is way smaller than the yellow area, and this is because European settlers continued to hunt the bison almost to a point of extinction. Only an estimated 1,000 bison were left alive during this time.
Luckily, when the bison population dropped to about 1,000, some people were concerned that they might go extinct, so they started taking measures to help save them. Soon, national parks and other parks all around the nation started receiving bison to live on their park lands in order to protect them from being hunted. Thanks to these parks and nature preserves, there are almost 500,000 bison today. Now that we know some steps that were taken to save the bison population, discuss or write down in your adventure journal what other steps we could take to help protect bison. With a larger population of bison being around today, we should have a better chance of finding them. Let's continue our search. Wow, look! I think we found a herd of bison! What were the characteristics we were supposed to be looking for, though? That's right. We were supposed to be looking for a mammal that is about 6, sometimes 4 feet tall and can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. We should be looking for a mammal that has dark brown fur, shorter fur in the back and longer fur in the front, and also a mammal with horns. Now, when we drove into this nature preserve, I saw a sign that said no hunting the bison. But I remember that the First Nations people hunted bison. What other uses other than food did the First Nations people use bison for? That's exactly right. Many different parts of the American bison were used for different things, such as the hide was used to build shelter, and even some bones were used as tools. Now, when I look at this bison herd, it's pretty small. And we mentioned earlier that bison used to be spread out all across North America. So why is their population so small today? You're correct once again. American bison were once hunted almost to the point of extinction. But now, thanks to nature preserves like this, American bison are able to regrow their populations in their natural habitats without being hunted. I'm so glad we were able to find an American bison herd. Thank you so much for helping me find them. Bye!